everyone, I'm Julius Basil. Today I want us to talk about wetlands. What are wetlands? Wetlands are areas where plants and animals have gotten adapted to permanent or seasonal flooding. So that is the simple definition of a wetland. But I want us to understand it deeper. Like, how do we tell whether an area it is a wetland? Not all areas that are exposed to flooding are wetlands. So we can differentiate a wetland using four major components. One of them is the soil type. So wetlands have specific soil types. For example, wetlands are rich in peat soils. Peat soils, these are soils which are rich in organic matter or decomposing materials that are always black in color. And we have the muck soils, which also have much content of organic matter, but they have high water holding capacity. We have the clay soils, which is very common in Ugandan wetlands, and these ones, they have slow drainage. We have the silt soils, which are mainly found in wetlands that have moving water. We also have the hydric soils, which are very rich in which are very rich in water. They have a lot of water. For them, they hold water. The water is too wet. So those are the major soil types that are found in wetlands. The other component that makes a wetland, it is the vegetation. So we look at the vegetation. Of course, there are specific vegetations that are found in wetlands. For example, the papyrus, you will never find a papyrus on a dry land. So wherever you find the papyrus, that means that place must have water, because for it is adapted to areas that are water lodged or that have water. The other type is the other component, rather, it is the adaptation of species. Of course, species or diversity or animals get adapted to such environments, but the only species that do live in wetlands are the ones who can stay there. So we have specific species that are adapted to live in wetlands, and you never find them on a dry land. So such species can only be found in the wetlands. For example, I'll give you an example of the mudfish. You can never find the mudfish on a dry land or dizzy water which is logged in your compound. That means it has specific environment that they do live, and that is none other than a wetland. The other type, it is the water component. Of course, we look at the water. That's when we can tell that this place is a wetland. That's why it is called a wetland. So the other it's supposed to be wet, then it is a wetland, actually, a wetland. So those are the major components that we look at to define an area, whether it is a wetland or it is a dry land. Now, in Uganda, basically, we have the lacustrine wetlands, the riverine wetlands, the bogs, swamps, and the flood plains. So, in the next video, I want us to share the classification of wetlands in Uganda.